Welcome to Book Nibbles. Big ideas, small bites. Erik Larson's The Splendid and the Vile immerses readers in a vivid and intimate portrait of Winston Churchill, his family, and Britain during one of its darkest hours, the Blitz of 1940 to 1941. Larson sets the stage with the immense pressures facing Britain in the summer of 1940. Nazi Germany had swept across continental Europe with breathtaking speed, and France had fallen. The threat of invasion loomed large over Britain, and the government and citizens alike faced the terrifying reality that the seemingly unstoppable German war machine could turn its sights on their island. Into this crucible stepped Winston Churchill, newly appointed Prime Minister, whose indomitable spirit, eloquence, and raw determination would become a symbol of defiance for the nation. The narrative begins by providing context for Churchill's rise to leadership. Larson explores Churchill's background, highlighting both his political career and his personality traits, his stubbornness, brilliance, and occasional flaws in judgment. Churchill inherited an impossible situation. He was taking office in a nation that had been unprepared for the war in terms of both strategy and morale. Larson emphasizes the delicate balance Churchill had to maintain. He needed to inspire confidence among the public, reassure allies abroad, especially the United States, and simultaneously navigate the treacherous political waters of a country deeply anxious about invasion. Larson's storytelling style humanizes Churchill, presenting him not just as a historical icon but as a man grappling with fear, responsibility, and the weight of national survival. Larson then delves into the domestic front, portraying the experiences of ordinary Britons under the looming threat of war. The Blitz was not merely a military campaign. It was a psychological battle that tested the resilience of an entire population. Through diaries, letters, and first-hand accounts, Larson brings to life the sounds of air raid sirens, the chaos of bombed-out neighborhoods, and the courage of civilians who adapted to the new realities of life under siege. He recounts stories of families huddling in underground shelters, children evacuated from London to the countryside, and communities coming together to support one another in the face of destruction. Larson's vivid imagery conveys the anxiety, heroism, and determination that characterized civilian life during the Blitz. Central to the book is the intimate portrayal of Churchill's family life. Larson provides readers with access to the private world of 10 Downing Street and Churchill's home, Chartwell. Through detailed anecdotes, he shows the dynamics between Churchill and his wife, Clementine, and their children. Clementine emerges as both confidant and advisor, helping to temper Churchill's impulsive tendencies while providing emotional support. Larson recounts the ways in which the family coped with the relentless pressures of wartime leadership, the tension of air raids, the necessity of secrecy, and the constant attention required to manage both domestic and national crises. The narrative highlights the personal sacrifices of Churchill's family, emphasizing that leadership was not experienced in isolation, but in the context of intimate relationships that bore the strain of public duty. The book's narrative is particularly compelling in its exploration of Churchill's leadership style during the Blitz. Larson captures the Prime Minister's relentless energy, his strategic intuition, and his ability to communicate with the public. Churchill's speeches, radio broadcasts, and personal interventions were designed not merely to convey information, but to instill courage and resolve. Larson provides vivid examples, such as Churchill's famous addresses to Parliament and the nation, demonstrating how he employed rhetoric, timing, and a deep understanding of human psychology to rally a nation under siege. Churchill's combination of candor and resolve reassured the public that their leaders would not capitulate to fear, creating a psychological bulwark against the enemy. Larson also provides a detailed account of the military and strategic dimensions of the Blitz. The Luftwaffe's bombing campaigns targeted London and other major cities with devastating intensity, aiming to demoralize the population and force Britain into submission. Larson chronicles the tactical considerations, the coordination between the Royal Air Force and civil defense organizations, and the ingenuity employed to counteract the German threat. He intersperses these accounts with personal stories of pilots, air raid wardens, and ordinary citizens, highlighting both heroism and tragedy. The narrative captures the interplay between national strategy and individual experience, illustrating how decisions made in government offices translated directly into life-and-death consequences on the streets of London. Throughout the book, Larson emphasizes the psychological complexity of leadership. Churchill was acutely aware of the stakes and the potential consequences of missteps. He understood that morale could be as decisive as military hardware, and he dedicated significant energy to maintaining public confidence. Larson recounts the meticulous attention Churchill paid to speeches, public appearances, and interactions with key officials, demonstrating how leadership is as much about perception and communication as it is about strategy and decision-making. Churchill's blend of personal charm, intellectual rigor, and emotional intelligence enabled him to inspire not only the British people but also allies abroad, shaping international perceptions of Britain's resilience. Larson's narrative also explores the tension between Churchill's public persona and his private fears. The book reveals moments of doubt, anxiety, and even despair, humanizing a leader often mythologized in history. Churchill confronted the possibility of Britain's destruction and his own personal limitations, yet he managed to channel these fears into decisive action. Larson illustrates this with examples from the cabinet, the war rooms, and private discussions with family, showing how Churchill processed information, weighed options, and ultimately made choices that balanced caution with boldness. The narrative underscores the idea that effective leadership involves embracing vulnerability, confronting uncertainty, and making morally and strategically sound decisions under extreme pressure. The Blitz itself serves as both a narrative backdrop and a central character in the book. Larson details the relentless bombing raids, the destruction of homes and infrastructure, and the ingenuity of Londoners in creating shelters, blackout protocols, and emergency responses. The psychological toll of nightly air raids was immense, yet Larson highlights the resilience, humor, and solidarity that allowed citizens to endure. He recounts specific incidents, such as families digging makeshift bunkers in their backyards, neighbors rescuing one another from bombed buildings, and children continuing to attend school despite the danger. These stories convey both the horrors and the extraordinary adaptability of human beings when confronted with existential threats. In addition to military and domestic perspectives, Larson provides a rich exploration of Churchill's interactions with other world leaders. He examines his correspondence and meetings with figures such as Franklin D. Roosevelt, Neville Chamberlain, and King George VI, emphasizing the importance of diplomacy and alliance building. Churchill understood that Britain's survival depended not only on domestic resilience, but also on securing support from allies. Larson highlights the delicate balance between asserting authority, negotiating strategy, and inspiring confidence abroad, demonstrating that wartime leadership operates on multiple interconnected levels, each demanding skill, foresight, and adaptability. The book also explores the role of media and communication during the Blitz. Churchill recognized the power of radio, newspapers, and other channels in shaping public perception. Larson describes how the government carefully managed information to maintain morale without underestimating the public's intelligence. Churchill himself became a central figure in this effort, delivering speeches that combined factual updates with motivational rhetoric. Larson emphasizes the strategic use of language, tone, and timing, showing how communication in wartime is as crucial as military strategy. The narrative illustrates the symbiotic relationship between leadership, media, and public sentiment, highlighting Churchill's mastery of this interplay. Larson intersperses moments of personal drama with historical events, creating a rich, multi-layered narrative. He recounts family interactions, such as Churchill's playful banter with his children, Clementine's efforts to provide emotional stability, and the tensions inherent in balancing public duty with private life. These glimpses of domestic life humanize the historical figures, illustrating how leadership occurs within the context of everyday relationships and personal sacrifice. The narrative emphasizes that while Churchill's public persona was formidable, His private life demanded resilience, adaptability, and the cultivation of supportive networks. The book does not shy away from the moral and ethical dimensions of leadership during crisis. Larson explores difficult decisions, such as resource allocation, civilian evacuations, and strategic bombing choices, highlighting the tension between pragmatism and morality. Churchill faced complex ethical dilemmas, balancing the imperative to defend the nation with the responsibility to minimize civilian suffering. Larson provides detailed accounts of these decisions, showing how leaders must navigate the interplay between strategy, consequence, and ethical responsibility under conditions of extreme uncertainty. Larson also examines the social and cultural aspects of life during the Blitz. He details how communities adapted rituals, leisure activities, and daily routines to maintain a sense of normalcy amidst chaos. Stories of concerts in bombed-out halls, informal gatherings in shelters, and acts of kindness between neighbors illustrate the resilience of human culture and the importance of maintaining social bonds. These narratives underscore that survival is not solely a matter of physical endurance, but also of preserving social cohesion, morale, and shared identity. A key element of the book is Larson's portrayal of psychological resilience. Churchill's ability to maintain focus, courage, and optimism in the face of existential threat is mirrored in the citizens of London, who endured nightly bombings with remarkable fortitude. Larson highlights strategies for coping with fear, uncertainty, and trauma, emphasizing the roles of humor, camaraderie, routine, and mental discipline. These accounts provide insights not only into historical events, but also into broader principles of human resilience and the cultivation of inner strength. Throughout the narrative, Larson balances strategic analysis with human stories. He details military operations, intelligence efforts, and government deliberations, showing how decisions in war rooms translated into tangible consequences on the ground. He juxtaposes these with stories of ordinary citizens navigating air raids, rationing, and loss, providing a comprehensive view of wartime Britain. This interplay between macro-level strategy and micro-level experience underscores the interconnectedness of societal systems during crisis and highlights the multifaceted nature of leadership and survival. Larson's account is particularly compelling in its treatment of the Blitz as both a physical and symbolic battle. The relentless German bombing was designed to break Britain's will, yet the responses of Churchill and the citizenry transformed it into a moral and psychological contest. Larson shows how courage, defiance, and solidarity countered fear and destruction, illustrating that resilience is both an individual and collective achievement. The narrative captures the drama, tension, and stakes of these months, conveying the sense of living history through meticulous research and storytelling. The narrative also explores Churchill's personal rituals and habits that sustained him under pressure. Larson describes his reading habits, late-night planning sessions, and interactions with confidants, emphasizing the deliberate cultivation of mental clarity and stamina. Churchill's ability to combine strategic insight with emotional intelligence allowed him to navigate complex challenges, inspire confidence, and maintain effectiveness in the most trying circumstances. Larson highlights the interplay between personal discipline, intellectual curiosity, and leadership efficacy, showing how character and habit shape historical outcomes. Larson does not neglect the role of chance and contingency. He recounts near misses, fortunate accidents, and unexpected developments that influence the course of events, emphasizing the unpredictability inherent in wartime. Churchill's leadership is presented not as infallible, but as adaptive and responsive, capable of leveraging opportunity while mitigating risk. These accounts underscore the importance of flexibility, observation, and strategic thinking in navigating complex, high-stakes environments. The book also examines the psychological and emotional impact of prolonged crisis on both leaders and citizens. Larson details moments of exhaustion, despair, and tension, alongside acts of heroism, creativity, and solidarity. He emphasizes the importance of maintaining morale, cultivating hope, and fostering social cohesion, illustrating that leadership in crisis involves both tactical skill and emotional intelligence. Churchill's success is portrayed as a combination of strategic acumen, rhetorical skill, and deep understanding of human psychology, demonstrating that effective leadership integrates intellect, emotion, and character. Larson concludes by reflecting on the broader lessons of the Blitz and Churchill's leadership. He emphasizes the importance of courage, resilience, and moral clarity, illustrating how individual and collective choices shape historical outcomes. The narrative highlights the interplay between personal character, social networks, and structural conditions, showing that survival and success during crisis require a combination of strategy, fortitude, and ethical commitment. The story of Churchill and Britain during the Blitz serves as both historical record and timeless meditation on leadership, human endurance, and the capacity for defiance in the face of overwhelming adversity. The Splendid and the Vile is ultimately a story of courage, determination, and the extraordinary resilience of both a nation and its leader. Larson's meticulous research, immersive storytelling, and nuanced portrayal of characters provide readers with a vivid understanding of the human and strategic dimensions of the Blitz. By intertwining Churchill's personal life, the experiences of ordinary citizens, and the broader historical context, Larson creates a richly layered narrative that illuminates the complexities of leadership, the endurance of the human spirit, and the capacity for hope and defiance amidst profound danger. Through detailed anecdotes, strategic insights, and intimate portraits, the book conveys that history is shaped not only by events, but by the choices, character, and courage of individuals who navigate them. The book leaves readers with a profound appreciation for the interplay of character, circumstance, and decision-making. It underscores the idea that leadership is both a public and private endeavor, requiring not only strategic skill but also empathy, resilience, and moral fortitude. Larson's narrative demonstrates that courage is contagious, that solidarity can triumph over fear, and that even in moments of extreme adversity, human beings are capable of remarkable ingenuity, strength, and compassion. The story of Churchill, his family, and Britain during the Blitz provides enduring lessons about the nature of courage, the responsibilities of leadership, and the power of hope to sustain individuals and communities through the darkest of times. And that's it. Erik Larson's The Splendid and the Vile. Thanks for listening to Book Nibbles. If you enjoyed this bite-sized book, don't forget to subscribe for more quick, insightful summaries. See you in the next nibble.